Hi guys, we're going to go over airbrushes today. I'm going to try and go over it a little bit more in depth. Now, I know that me and Marnius have the same setup, and obviously he's had a lot of emails about the setup that he's gotten, and so have I. And I know at least I think 3 people that have bought exactly the same setup as me recently, and I know there's someone else that's just bought one. And I want to go basically over how to use it really, or how I've been using it. You know, it might help take the stress away of using a new expensive item that you're not sure about really. Firstly, I'd like to recommend you go and check out WG Consortium's website. I'll try and put a link below. They've got excellent videos up going over airbrushes and the techniques behind them, so go check those out. So right, let's start out where I am here. So first of all, you get your airbrush. If you bought this exact model, and it comes straight out of the box. You don't have to do nothing. The air trap's already attached with the gauges. It's literally, you plug it in, you turn it on and you're away. Now the hose I've got, it's a screw-on hose. I know you can get quick release hoses, which I didn't get in this set, but the airbrush that I did get with the set, when you take it out of the little plastic box, it's got this thing on it here. If I can get the camera to focus, down there. Now that's for like a quick release hose, where I believe you plug it in and you can squirt away, and you can just literally, you know, pull it out of the hose there. Now this won't fit in any of the hoses that you're given when you've got it, so you think, oh, it's not going to work. But what you have to do, you screw this off here. You obviously keep these for future, because if you ever get a better hose that you can use those with, you know, you're well away. But anyway, you take those off and you just screw the airbrush straight onto the hose there. Turn it on. It'll take a while for the compressor to get the PSI up to the maximum normally it stores it at, whatever that is. I think it's on this compressor, I think it's 55 psi. Don't quote me on it, I'm not reading from the manual, but I believe it's somewhere in that region. But it'll shoot up, as you can see here. If I can get the camera to show. I'm sure. Oh well, we'll leave it. I can't get the camera to focus in on it, I don't think. But anyway, the needle's going up there, and as you can see, we're getting air out of there. Blow that away. Right, and I'm gonna what I was saying in my other video is, to get the pressure that I want, I hold the air in and turn the dial, and then the needle will stop where I want it as I'm turning it. So as I'm turning it down now, I've got it down to 35 psi, and it's accurate. So every time I squirt now, I'm going to be squirting at 35 psi or thereabouts. Okay, so that's that. We're going to go and take you away from the airbrush now, and we're going to go down onto the table if we can. Just bear me a moment while I get this orientated. Okay. Right, there we go, that'll do. Now, going over thinning of paints. Now, a few good YouTubers and subscribers of mine have put some comments down below saying that rather than using the Vallejo thinner that I've been using, they've been using other products. I believe one of the products is Windoline. No, I've not actually got any Windoline at the moment, but I do plan on trying it out, because if you can get a product that's going to do exactly the same job as a dearer product, then you're going to buy the product that does the job cheapest for you. So I'm going to try that out. Also, other things that I'd recommend, I mean, in the past I've been spraying without rubber gloves. Now, you can wash your hands, don't get me wrong, it's acrylic paints, and you're probably not going to have any adverse reaction, but it's the fact you've got to clean your hands and get the paint from your nails and those sorts of things. So latex gloves, it's always a good idea, so I'll pick some of those up. Also, again, when you're doing a hell of a lot of airbrushing, if you're doing a large a piece of scenery or a tank, and you're adding airbrush cleaners to your thinner mix, or you're using Windoline or anything that's got some base of chemical that can irritate you, best to wear a gas like a little mask there, dust mask. So I picked those up. They're fairly cheap, so it's just added insurance that, you know, you're not going to clog up your chest and you know, do yourself an injury. Going over how I've been putting the painting, I never really use the cap at all, and I don't use this part there, which is the needle cap. I would say, you know, if you've just got your airbrush for the first time, probably not to take the needle cap off and just spray with it, you know, just for that added bit of insurance that you're not going to damage the needle. So yeah, that's just that. I always have clean water handy. The reason why, even though I'm thinning the paint myself, is if you want to clean out your airbrush just quickly between paints, you can just get the pipette that comes with the box, and you can just squirt it in there and spray out the water. Another thing that I'd definitely recommend is getting one of these jobbies. I think they're about £10 or £11, and it enables you to discharge all your paint that you're not using when you changing your paints over. And if you fill it halfway with water or a fluid, when you're shooting your liquid into it, and there's a little filter in there, it'll stop all the fumes coming out. So I definitely recommend getting that. And also, it's a handy way of holding your airbrush when you're doing something else on your tank. Say for example, you're masking a panel and you need to put your airbrush down. It's nice and it's safe in its little holder there. Right, I'm going to do some airbrushing on this paper now, and I'll try if I can get into a shot on camera. Let's just turn this around. It's going to rock a bit, sorry guys. Whoa. Okay, back again. Right, I'm going to start with this paint here, which is French blue, and I'm going to put it straight in. Now this is the Model Air line of paints, and it's formulated specifically to be shot straight out your airbrush. But if you're working at low PSI, or you only want to let a tiny bit of paint out, say for example you're doing an effect on a little light on one of your tanks or something like that, you might want to work at slightly higher PSI, and you'll probably want to thin the paint as well to make sure it doesn't dry on the needle, because you're not spraying it out in big bursts. But as you can see, I'm not putting too much paint in there, and as I say, with a thinner in this one, you don't really need to worry about it too much. I'll probably put a couple of drops in there. Let's do that. But if you're using the Vallejo Game Colour range, or the model colour, or even your GW paints, you really need to thin them. And if I can show you in the cup there, see how thin that is? It's obviously thicker than water, but it's, I know everyone says it and people are like, what is the consistency of milk? But it's, you know, it's like it runs down off the side of things, similar to water, but obviously it's not going to run as quick. Yeah, you'll get the hang of it. It's not that difficult. Also, having tissue paper handy is a brilliant thing. Don't use tissue paper, use kitchen roll. The reason why is if you use tissue paper and you're cleaning around the inside of the cup to get rid of paint when you finish using your airbrush, or you're cleaning it out, the fibres of the tissue, and the tissue will break up, and you don't want little bits of tissue breaking up and going down your airbrush. You can clean it out, of course you can, but it's extra hassle that you don't want to do. But if you've got a good kitchen roll, it's not going to break up as you're rubbing it around the cup there, and you're not going to get those fibres and those little pieces of tissue going into your cup. So try to stick to kitchen roll and not tissue. There we go, yeah, got the word out. Right, I'm going to start airbrushing now. And we're working at 35 psi. Now this I'm going to take the airbrush down. Remembering here, I'm not pulling it back at all. Just air's coming out, so I'm holding that. See where I am, changing the dial down. That's probably off camera, unfortunately. And I've took it down to 20 psi now, and I'm going to show you what it's squirting out like at 20 psi. See, it's getting on there, and as I'm pressing the button there, I'm slowly pulling my finger back to see how it's coming out, and I can get it quite close. The closer you get it to it as you're pulling back slowly, the thinner the line you can get, and you can control it. But if, say for example, you wanted I'm going to do like a little panel here, and you wanted to paint that whole panel in, you wouldn't do it close up, you'd pull your airbrush back and you'd pull it down. Now you probably see the paint speckling a bit, which we don't really want. That could be because the paint's too thick there, but that's not the case there. But it could be that the PSI is a little bit low, and the paint's drying sort of mid-air, and you're getting that sort of effect. So if I turn the PSI up, which I'm going to do now, and we'll try again. Should get a little less bleed. We'll turn it up some more. We'll see what happens there. And you can, like I say, you can muck about with the mix thinning it, and always when you're looking at your needle as well, it'll probably be very hard for me to get on shot, but if your paint starts splurting out little dots, it's because your needle more than likely has clogged up at the tip. So you just want to wipe it, you want to clean it with something that you have. There's a technique called back swilling as well, where you get this tissue here, you pull your needle back like so, and you push it in, and it'll help declog your airbrush. Sorry. So let's do something else. Let's do a circle if we can. I'm going to colour the circle in. Alright, that's pretty much done that one. And now I'm going to add a different colour in here. Right. So there we go. Epic fail on the camera, guys. Squirting paint all down the trigger on the airbrush, not good. There we go, let's do that. Now I'm going to try and back swill this to try and mix that little bit of paint at the back that was being sprayed out earlier, as you can see. Right, here we go. And you know, you can do all sorts of cool effects. But yeah, so let's just do that. So I'm not a very old doodle that I did years and years ago, and I just, you know, it's a bit of scrap piece of paper. So let's try and follow some of the lines. I don't know. Let's try and do some work on his shirt, shall we? And I'm just rocking it backwards and forwards slightly. Okay, let's go in there a bit. Now, what you could do it the other way around. You can start with the dark base and bring up the highlights. We can do it the other way around. Start with a light colour and then work back the dark colours in, but I'd say that's probably the more awkward way of doing it. You're best off starting with your dark base colour and then building that colour up. Really, a bit like how you paint, you'd start with maybe if you're doing Blood Angels, like a very, very deep reddy brown, and then you build your highlights maybe up to blood red as your final highlight, well, depending on how you like to paint, but that's probably the easiest way to paint your airbrush. And that's it really. I'm trying to think, is there anything else major that we need to go over? It's just cleaning out your airbrush's water and using your tissue. I do use Vallejo's airbrush cleaner. I find that's brilliant if you've messed up and you've not thinned things enough and you've clogged on your brush. But again, other people out there are using a Mr. Muscle a cleaner. I don't know the brand. I've had a message for that. So all these things I am going to try. I am going to experiment. I will go over the results when I do get them. But airbrushes are not as scary as what you'd think, really. They're pretty straightforward. I'm just going to expel this paint here. And as I'm doing it, I'm going to show you what I'd be doing with my pipette there. I'd be filling it up with water and just make sure I'm not... There we go, so I'm just going to leave that to do its business. I'm going to cut the camera here, guys, and I'll come back. You don't want to see me squirting water out for 2 or 3 minutes. So, right, back again, guys. I'm using a game colour paint now, which is this one. Yeah, where's the camera? There you are. Because the camera's behind me. Sorry about this, guys. Like I was fighting against myself, so I'm using that one. And on this piece of paper that we can see here, on the other colours there, I was getting this like bleed over these little dots, and you definitely don't want that. So this is why it's always best to actually check, and I was mucking about. Now you should notice that I'm not getting that sort of bleed out really. So, but anyway, let's go on to see what we can do on this guy's face down here. If you want to do it fine detail, say for example I'm just going to paint in the his nose in here, you can get really close, and I'm working at what, 40 psi, which is not, I definitely wouldn't recommend that, but I want to try and show you that being very, very gentle, working high psi, you can get really fine lines. So I'm just going to pull it back a bit. I'm going to bring some of the detail. Right, so that's just quickly using the airbrush, and I've pretty much stuck to all the lines there, and we can show you again doing hands there. Again, I'm squirting the air out, but I'm only pulling the trigger back very slowly to control how much paint's coming out, so it's not going to slosh about. You definitely don't want to do that. And as I pull it further back, I let more paint out to fill a larger area. We'll go again here. I mean, this is just how I'm doing it. I mean, I'll be honest, I don't know the right technique for it. This is probably wrong. It's just that I'm getting fairly good results doing it like this, but if there's someone out there that knows how to do it better than me, post a video response by all means. I mean, I'm always up for learning something new and cool. So anyway, that's in a nutshell using the airbrush, and it's straightforward. I'm going to quickly clean out my airbrush, again using this. Where's my pipette gone? Worst thing about having a clear pipette You can't find the bugger. Right, and I just keep sloshing the water in there. There's no. And that's it really. Clean all the inside of the cup out of paint with your kitchen roll. If you need to use it, use a solution. As I say, at the moment I'm using Vallejo Airbrush cleaner, but as people have mentioned, if you can find a better one out there for cheaper, definitely do it. Right, that's it I think. So thanks for watching guys, and I'll catch you on the next one. Hi guys, sorry about that. There's a few other things I want to go on over about, like this trap here. When you finished airbrushing and you've turned your machine off, to get rid of all the excess moisture and the air, because you don't want to leave the air in the tank, that's not a good idea. If you leave the air in the tank, you're going to get more build up of water in the tank. Which you need to drain as well, to be honest. I mean, if, say for example, you've not used your airbrush in a while, there's a little screw underneath the tank. You definitely want to take that out and let any little fluid drop out there. I mean, if you left your airbrush for a couple of months or a month or two, you're going to get rust in that tank, and that rust will come straight into your air trap and it'll start getting shot out of your airbrush, and you don't want to do that. It'll ruin your tank. So yeah, you don't need to take it off, you know, every single time you use your airbrush, but you know, if you're using it quite regularly, maybe once a week or something like that, I don't know. Someone might have better knowledge out there on that than me, but it's definitely advisable that you take that out. Yeah, get rid of your air. There's a little button under there. Well, not a button, it's like a little piece of metal that protrudes out of the air trap. You push it up like this, and excess moisture should shoot out like so. That would be turned off because you don't want it to be filled back up with air. So, and you do that until obviously the pressure hits naught and it's all gone. And as you can see, my fingers are a bit wet there. That's where moisture is shooting out of the moisture trap there, cleaning out your moisture trap as well of most of the moisture that's in there. So yeah, okay.